Life is governed by the principle of cause and effect, a simple but powerful truth that affects everything we do. When we take an action, there is almost always a reaction. In the realm of international relations, this principle is especially relevant when it comes to trade policies and global economic strategies. One action taken by a country can lead to a series of consequences, and the response often includes retaliation. We see this dynamic playing out on the world stage in the ongoing US-China trade war, where the consequences of one nation's actions are reverberating across global markets. For decades, the United States enjoyed unparalleled economic dominance. The U.S. could impose tariffs, sanctions, and taxes on foreign goods with little fear of retaliation because of its massive economic influence. Other countries, particularly those economically dependent on U.S. trade, had no choice but to comply with its policies. The U.S. had the upper hand in this relationship, and for the most part, the world accepted this dynamic. However, that story is now changing. The rise of China as an economic powerhouse has fundamentally shifted global trade dynamics, and the U.S. is beginning to feel the effects. The U.S.-China trade war, which began under the Trump administration, is a clear example of how the principle of retaliation works on the global stage. When the Trump administration decided to impose tariffs on Chinese goods, it was aiming to strengthen American manufacturing, reduce the trade deficit with China, punish China for what the U.S. saw as unfair trade practices, and bring jobs back to the United States. But instead of strengthening the American economy, the tariffs had unintended consequences. In fact, they backfired as China, once an economically subordinate country, has emerged as a formidable economic and technological competitor on the world stage. China's economic transformation over the past few decades is nothing short of remarkable. In the 1990s, China was primarily a low-cost manufacturing hub, relying heavily on foreign investment and technology. Fast forward to today, and China has become the world's largest manufacturing economy, surpassing the United States in many critical industries. From technology and renewable energy to automobiles, China is not just catching up, it is overtaking the U.S. in several sectors. This shift is redefining the global economic landscape, challenging the U.S.'s long-standing dominance, and creating new challenges for American businesses. The U.S. response to China's rising economic might has often been to impose tariffs, but this has sparked retaliatory measures from China. A perfect example of this retaliation is seen in the automotive industry. In response to the U.S. imposing tariffs on Chinese goods, China retaliated by imposing a 10% tax on American-made cars. This directly targets major U.S. automakers like Tesla, Ford, GM, and Mercedes-Benz. The result is that the combined effect of both the U.S. and Chinese tariffs means that the cost to export a car from the U.S. to China has increased by a staggering 25%. This is a major blow for American automakers, many of which rely heavily on the Chinese market for revenue. The implications of this tariff war are severe. The cost of manufacturing cars in the U.S. is already much higher than in China, due to factors such as outdated manufacturing technology, higher labor costs, and expensive energy prices. On top of this, China has not only focused on traditional internal combustion engine vehicles, but has also established itself as a global leader in the electric vehicle (EV) industry. Companies like BYD have revolutionized car manufacturing by incorporating advanced robotics and automation to produce vehicles more efficiently and at a fraction of the cost of American counterparts. This allows Chinese automakers to produce world-class vehicles that are more affordable, innovative, and efficient than many American-made cars. In this context, the U.S.'s approach to tariffs, often seen as a four-dimensional chess strategy, has been nothing short of a massive failure. The goal of protecting American industries and jobs has, in fact, set the stage for the loss of American market share in one of the world's most important industries. The increase in tariffs has created an environment where American automakers are struggling to compete in the global market. If the decline in exports to China continues and Chinese automakers keep innovating and lowering their costs, the competitive position of American companies will continue to deteriorate. Let's put this into perspective. In 2024, U.S. automakers like Ford and GM exported over $3 billion in vehicles to China. With the 25% tariff increase, those exports will likely plummet, causing a significant financial loss. China's domestic car market is the largest in the world, with more than 22 million vehicles sold annually. The competition in this market is fierce, with both international brands like Volkswagen and BMW and local Chinese brands like BYD and NIO already established in the country. If U.S. automakers cannot adapt to the changing dynamics, they will simply lose market share to these companies. For instance, Ford, which has already faced struggles in recent years, could lose up to $2 billion in 2025 due to the tariffs. This situation is exacerbated by Ford's ongoing quality control issues, which only make it harder for them to remain competitive. The ripple effects of this trade war stretch far beyond the automotive industry. Trump's tariffs on steel and aluminum, which were meant to protect American industries, have also made manufacturing in the U.S. more expensive. Steel and aluminum are crucial materials for building cars, and as a result of the tariffs, the cost of producing a vehicle in the U.S. has risen. The additional $1,500 in production costs will likely be passed down to consumers, making American-made cars more expensive for everyone. This rise in car prices is coming at a time when American consumers are already grappling with increasing living costs. Used car prices have risen by 40%, maintenance costs are up 30%, and insurance premiums have increased by 29%. With the added burden of higher tariffs, consumers will feel the impact directly as car prices rise even further. The question remains, will consumers continue to buy cars if prices keep climbing? If demand for cars drops as a result of higher prices, the situation for U.S. automakers will only worsen. The reality of the situation is that the tariffs imposed by the Trump administration have ignored the broader economic consequences. The focus has been on short-term gains through tariffs, without fully accounting for the long-term effects. These policies have weakened American industries, particularly the auto industry, by making it harder for U.S. companies to compete in a rapidly evolving global marketplace. The ultimate losers in this trade war may not just be the American automakers, but the American consumers. With prices rising across the board, consumers will feel the financial burden. The cost of owning a car has already skyrocketed, and with rising tariffs, it is only expected to climb. While Trump's policies were intended to protect American industries, they may ultimately result in American consumers facing higher prices, lower quality, and fewer choices. Looking forward, the future of U.S. automakers is uncertain. Will President Trump reconsider his tariff policies in light of the damage they are causing? Will U.S. companies find a way to adapt to the new global reality, or will they be left behind in a market they once dominated? What is clear is that China's growing presence in the global automotive industry is undeniable. Unless something drastic changes, American automakers risk falling further behind. In conclusion, China's retaliation against U.S. car makers has sent a clear message. It has made the consequences of the U.S.'s trade policies painfully evident. The question now is whether the U.S. will adapt and change course, or whether it will continue down the path of economic conflict, ultimately losing out in a rapidly evolving global market. What do you think about China's response to U.S. tariffs? Do you think it will force a policy change, or is the damage already done? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Stay safe, like, and subscribe as we continue to monitor the developments in this global trade war and its impact on the U.S. economy. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.